Miley, it's been a minute.
Yes, Chris, it's good to see you. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I am fabulous. How are you?
I'm good. I'm
Good.
doing well.
As fab?
I have to know how fab you are. What is it that's making you feel fab right now?
I mean, the list goes from, super joyful time in my life that I'm in ultimate, kind of fulfillment with this project, the music itself, the film. I'm just really proud of the outcome and what I've gotten to create with these collaborators. So I'm super, it's a meaningful project to me, and that's always top tier. And the fans' reaction and response to it is something else that's giving me, definitely adding a lot of meaning, because it's been such a long journey for, me and my career and my fans who have come with me every step of the way. And so this feels like the end and the beginning, which I always think things that are kind of polar are always very complementary to each other. Beauty, destruction, success, failure. I think they're usually all somewhat of the same. So excited.
And they're all in this record. There's like this superabundance of creativity and feeling throughout this record. And yet, like an artist from, an earlier era, you understand kind of the idea of the single idea behind an album or a film like this one. How would you characterize what that single idea that animates something beautiful is?
Well, before we actually started having this conversation on camera, just you and I off camera, you were talking about, different days and music. And there's something very classic and iconic about growing up in the era that I did, where I would watch music videos on television and I would wait all night for my favorite one to play. And that was something that built a lot of deep relationships between me, my brothers, my sisters, my friends, going and buying records together. When I went to buy two of my first albums, I went with my sister and my brother. I bought Blink-182 because my little brother would think I was cool, Metallica so my big brother would think I was cool, and Britney Spears so my big sister would think I was cool. And it was, now sometimes I go, I think that developed a part of me that I didn't even know how profound of an impact it would actually have, because I think somewhere between Metallica, which I've collaborated with, and Britney Spears, which I've also gotten to work with, I feel like it has music, what we buy, the nostalgia, the earliest memories of music and creation is something that really fueled this entire project and the fantasy that I had, because I wanted to bring back this communal sense of getting a record, getting with people that you love and experiencing it in a theater, undistracted in a way that with streaming or, on your headphones, listening to music in your headphones is beautiful, because I love how introverted it can be, but it also is very isolating. It's not the same experience that we used to have by pushing play, as a group or going and buying these vinyls. So I'm just trying to, I want to stay, modern. And I think there's so many incredible new innovative ways to approach music now, and streaming's one of them. But I also don't want to lose a piece of something that really wasn't broken and didn't need fixed, which is like the community of music.
And you've talked about the idea of healing as something that kind of pulls this record together, both visually and in terms of what we hear.
Yeah.
Healing from what exactly, would you say?
Well, for me, sound, is the most impactful way that I've been able to kind of, again, use it as my own therapeutic tool, whether it's listening to it or creating it myself. And so I think that even frequencies, have had such an impactful, they have healing properties within them, and we use them in so many ways. In so many different fields, sound is used, because humanity and sound, they really do react and interact with one another. And so for me, I've shared a lot of my life with the public. And so they've gone with me on these journeys through different, heartbreaks or devastation, which are, public knowledge. And so for me to be able to kind of show the beauty in some of the pain, I think is not only inspiring, to myself, because things will inevitably continue to happen that are hard, and to remember that they are precious in their own way.
There's a great loss on this record, more to lose, but there's also great joy, like Reborn. And so the emotions sit well together, don't they?
Right.
Even though they are very powerful, each in their own way.
Yeah, it's just in any, I think, emotional impact we could have on people. One of the ways we do that is, you know, through taste or through smells, like nostalgia. You walk into a room and you could smell like a cookie and you remind of your grandma or whatever. And music does that same thing, where a memory can be triggered so immediately by, you know, certain sounds and frequencies. And one thing that I thought about a lot when creating this was just not the sense of hearing, but also of like taste. So thinking of like sweet and sour and spicy and all these different flavors that come together to create something really delicious and also fulfilling. And I am someone that, you know, would always rather a home cooked meal than something fast or something that's, you know, kind of you know, I like the density of feeling full after a meal, and not only from what you've had, but from the people that you've had it with. A family dinner, sitting down every Sunday, which is important to me. And again, it's that community of taking a moment to sit with people that you love and really having these conversations that can be as light or as heavy as you want them to be. So that was, you know, Sunday family dinner was an important part of actually creating this record, which you would think that this something I do on a Sunday and what I do in the studio have nothing to do with each other, but they're actually divinely connected in the sense that the value of what they mean is a complete, you know, integral piece of the structure of what you're creating.
We see you as a showgirl. We see you as a 60s European film star. We see
So you did watch this movie and listen to the album.
Yeah. We see you on a motorcycle.
Yes.
We see you getting very close to a special someone in your life.
Yes.
In the rain.
Well, I'm really glad that you've, you know, paid attention and seen these kind of nuances that were important for me, truly, of kind of creating something that I feel is really modern and very now, but again, it's really honoring this, these kind of like, you know, iconic women in film and in music, and there is these elements of like, you know, the showgirl element, 1960s, you know, French Bond girls or whatever it is, and then also taking a really modern approach, which is, again, right now I do think a beautiful thing about social media is that people share their life with each other, and I think that having that sense of connection with people can be a beautiful thing. And so adding that into this project in a way that felt, you know, of quality. And so I like to share my personal life with the viewers, but in a way that still has a cinematic and, you know, I think a dignified approach to me, rather than just showing, you know, candid moments of my life, which are, you know, maybe interesting or not, but they're not through the lens that I want to capture those moments.
And it is that lens. I would use the word your voice. Both your voice in terms of the creativity that's being exerted here in your in your songwriting,
Thank you.
but also in your voice itself. People have talked about how your voice now is such a key element in how you address this material. What's it like to have that kind of expressiveness in your voice?
Well, you know, I don't know if you've ever listened to a video of yourself back and you think, I hate my voice.
Oh, I've never done that ever.
I definitely hear myself and go, you know, I have a very distinct voice. And during COVID, when a lot of people kind of had this, you know, they could be anonymous from behind the mask, I did not have that. I would be in grocery stores and people would still go, you're not fooling anyone. I know exactly who you are behind the mask. And to, you know, to have something to me that feels like it's like a fingerprint. It's everybody has these kind of unique, even sometimes like quirky things about themselves that as we mature, maybe something that we didn't honor about ourselves as we grow, we start to bring it forward. And so for me, something that, you know, growing up, I always kind of sounded like this, but it's aged along with me and changed and evolved in all these different ways. And so I've always, you know, I've had kind of a unique texture, which again, I've spoken about a lot, comes from some different, you know, anatomical parts of my voice. And I've gotten really used to working with what I've been given and training appropriately to have that sustainability and force and intensity that I like to, you know, use, but also by giving myself boundaries, because I realize how sacred it is to myself and to what I do and how I reach millions of people. So I, you know, protect it like kind of the instrument that it is.
20 years in the business.
Yeah.
And you were just made a Disney legend.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that one.
You got a little emotional as you talked about your work as Hannah Montana. What were the emotions behind those feelings that you
Well, that's
expressed?
why I even like being here today. You know, I have a really positive kind of memory and childhood, really, of growing up with Disney and feeling that I would have never wanted my life to have gone another way. This was really, if you talk to me then, when you speak to me now, I still have the same, joy is a great word for it when I think about being a part of this Disney family. It's what I grew up on. It was like bread and butter for me and my brothers and sisters. It carries the same nostalgia to me as it does to kind of the outside. It's something that I think really kind of unifies me and the audience. It actually doesn't work as a divide because I'm actually on the TV and they're looking at the TV. I have the same childhood memories of Disney and the Disney Channel and their original series and films as anyone else that's grew up watching mine. And so I think the the emotion again comes from, like you said, 20 years of working hard, dedicating myself, devoting myself to what I've loved to do. And just because something comes naturally doesn't mean that it comes easily. So I think that there's something about, you have a natural gift, you have a natural drive to do whatever it is that you've dreamed of, but there's an amount of dedication that makes it really hard work. And so I think all of that tension and all of that pressure just kind of, sank for a moment. And I felt like in that time, it was like this, my life as an airplane finally landed and I've been suspended for so long.
What part of having played Hannah Montana animates your life the most right now?
Well, we talked about this before, again, we started rolling. The wigs. So it taught me very early the, just the glamour, I would say, of Hannah Montana. Something that was really exciting for me, again, as a young girl and stays true to me as a woman, is the artistry of a woman creating her identity that will be her persona to the world, that will make her feel powerful and impactful and strong in a way that, when you wake up in the morning, that's not always there, but there's something about putting on a bedazzled jean and a wig and the eyeshadow and the boots that always made me feel like Hannah Montana. And so rather than looking at, your fashion, your style, the way that you present yourself externally to the world as some sort of armor, it's actually an invitation. I'm inviting you in by what I'm presenting.
What has that relationship with the fans been like for you? Is it a burden in the way that they feel entitled to you in a way?
Well, for me, I've really dedicated myself to creating strong boundaries in every element of my life. So again, how you do anything is how you do everything. The boundaries that I have with my fans are no different than the ones I have from my friends, my family, and I think for me, I can't encourage enough how important it is for young people, to develop those strong sense of boundaries, which I did when I was probably, 14, 15 years old. I started realizing how empty I would be if I made everyone happy.
What does that mean?
Without myself, I mean, the hours that I worked, to fulfill what I wanted to achieve, and the hours that I still could potentially work if I didn't have strong sense of self and boundaries to be comfortable with saying no to things, and knowing that when you say no, the right yeses fall in that negative space where those maybes could have been. And so once I probably went on a tour, I guess I was 12, 13, 14, I went on a tour and I was, again, so emotionally drained, because you really are, when you're an artist, you are putting your heart out there through songs every night. And I'm giving such a large sense of my, again, not only my identity, it takes a lot to entertain. And so for me, learning after that tour at 14 years old how empty I really was going to be if I said yes to all the maybes out there. So just by eliminating some I'm not sures, I don't knows, and only saying yes to the things that feel certain, I've opened myself up to actually have a lot more free time than maybe you would think, because it's not filled with things that are messy. It's very clean and clear and understood what is important to me.
You talked about what the support of the fans has been on this project and stuff. But external validation kind of means something to you too as well, and we saw it when you finally got a Grammy for Flowers.
Yeah.
What did that mean? What did that heal for you?
Well, I think that every year that I was either not nominated or nominated and lost, no one likes the feeling of disappointment. And I think all of us, whether we actually consciously do it or not, we do put these really intense levels of expectation on ourselves, and they're not getting less. With social media, like we talked about, everybody is showing the best, most successful moments in their life, and you start to think that that's a day-to-day. And it's not. It's special. And it's something that you wait a long time for. And actually, the longer you wait, in my opinion, after receiving that Grammy, after so long, it actually did make all the, again, we talked about the no's, the yes, and the maybes. It made the no's feel actually really meaningful, because the finally getting that yes, I understood not just the weight of how much it really mattered to me, but again, the weight that my fans were also celebrating alongside of me at the same time, because every time I lost, they felt it too. And so this was really a big, impactful win for all of us.
And something that obviously reflected your songwriting as well as your performance.
That was the most exciting part for me, was, standing up there, singing a song that was copy pasted from someone else would have never had the same emotional, it was such an important moment for me as a writer, not just because of, holding the Grammy itself, but getting to call my fellow songwriters that are heroes of mine, like getting to talk to Dolly afterwards. And, she goes, I wanted you to take home 4, but 3, or 2 is fine, but I really wanted you to have them all. And that's just like you call any family member, any aunt is going to say, you deserve all of them, so getting to call my, my songwriting heroes, and that to me was what made it, again, just a complete heart win.
You love that song. You love singing
Definitely.
that song. You love the response you get to that song. But you've not been able to tour on the level that some other artists have. Why is that not physically possible for you?
Well, I do have the physical ability. I wish I had the desire, but I don't. And so I think desire helps, with athletes that have the appetite to win. That's a lot of the game. If you go into a game not caring whether you win or lose, you can feel it. There's a primal instinct that comes out of humans when they want something that they don't have. And I have the opportunities to tour. I don't have the Heart on Fire or the Full Body Yes for it. And I also don't think that there's actually an infrastructure that supports artists in the way that there should be to create, longevity and sustainability and healthy careers, not just physically, but, mentally and emotionally. And so many of our large-scale touring artists are no longer with us, I think, for reasons like this. When it comes to the, people, the artists like Prince that are not here today, that lived such a high intensity lifestyle out on the road, and it's really hard to maintain sobriety when you're on the road, which is a really important, again, kind of pillar of stability in my life. And I just don't think that the industry has taken, I don't know if they don't have taken the time, or if I think there's an awareness there. I've certainly tried to raise the flag about it, because I don't feel that there's an infrastructure that has been created that can support and sustain artists' longevity.
You're speaking the truth, aren't you? We've lost a lot of people, and it just seems like it's a real meat grinder out there for young people.
And not
that you
only
went through,
losing their life, but losing their minds. And to me, my mind is a place that I actually love to live, and it's the place that it has to be my home for my rest of my life. And so I always think about that when I'm thinking about my headspace, and when I'm thinking about the stability within my own head. It really truly is, it's my home. It's where all my ideas that I just adore come from. None of this that I create would ever be possible without the way that I think about things. And I do think it's really hard to keep, mental wellness, just because even on a kind of automatic reactionary response to touring. You have so many thousands of people screaming at you, so dopamine, you're feeling a lot of love, and then you totally crash at the end of the show, and you start thinking that one person loving you is not enough. It needs to be 10,000, it needs to be 80,000, and you really do, I think, push yourself beyond what's actually kind of, I don't think it's human capacity. I think we can do, but whether we should is a question that has been answered for us.
Are you afraid of feeling those things on a nightly basis?
I wish, I just don't have the desire. I could, if I was afraid of them, I like to do things I'm afraid of. I've jumped out of airplanes. I've performed for 150,000 people. I stood toe to toe with Beyonce, and
yes, you did.
So I can sing for 80,000 people
in Paris
when I want to, because I just did. But I just don't have the, I don't have the Heart on Fire feeling that actually one of the people that have made me know for certain I don't have it is looking at Beyonce, because the only way that you continue a career like hers is by having it be a full body yes. And when you're standing beside her, it's so obvious because it radiates truly like a satellite. You can actually feel her desire and her passion, and she's not tired of this show. I think I was on like the 33rd date, you know, and she's still doing that show as if it's the first, second, and third.
I know you've been in every conceivable situation, but what is that moment like when you're standing with Beyonce, you're singing the song you did together?
She's a top tier moment for me because, again, with the songwriting, it started with her, you know, kind of in celebrating me as a songwriter from the beginning when I sent the demo. And then when we went to go do the sound check, you know, just saying, I can't believe that you wrote this song. And it actually was a song that I didn't use on a record of mine a couple records ago. And why did you never use it? And again, I think timing's everything. It was waiting for Beyonce. I always thought it would be a great duet. And then she came in and it was, I never knew she was going to do country. And it just went that way so perfectly. And it's definitely a moment to me that I use as a that to me is a win. It's not a trophy. It's not something physical that you hold or put on a shelf, but it's something that I have that's a true win, that someone that I've idolized and always respected has that mirrored respect for me, and that's it.
What do you like to do in terms of connecting with fans now if you can't perform live for them?
Creating unique, you know, experiences like Something Beautiful, bringing them into a theater together, because part of what's so great about a concert is who you're sitting next to. I recently saw Shania Twain at the Hollywood Bowl and was sitting next to Tom Hanks. That's not going to happen to everybody, but that was a moment that there's like performing with Beyonce in Paris, and then there's going to a Shania Twain concert with Tom Hanks. I didn't go with him necessarily,
but there he was.
The story is better if you think I did. And so I think being, you know, in a seat, looking at someone next to you, and you both knowing all the words and singing together, it's something that we really do, you know.
Well, you're making the case for all the wonderful songs that you've done. You know, imagining what it would be like to sit next to somebody while you're doing Wrecking Ball, or while you're doing, you know.
I was inspired by Wicked because they didn't tour, and everyone went and sat and watched Wicked and sang along to all the songs, so much so that it was a problem. That everyone's going, okay, I would rather hear Ariana Grande sing this than, you know, whoever's group is beside them. And actually Wicked was something that really clicked for me as a kind of an inspiration. I was already making this project, but it made me kind of validate what I was making, because I don't think it needs to be a fictional story or fictional songs and characters to have the same feeling that Wicked had, which is a sense of community through sitting in a theater and watching me way closer, you know, and cheaper than a seat if you're going to come to my concert anyway.
You've got a song on the album called Walk of Fame. We see you do the video where you're literally on the Walk of Fame. Yeah. You are getting, as I understand, a slot on the Walk of Fame in a year or so.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
What's exciting about that for you? What does that throw back to you from your earliest
Well, it's
days?
like the Disney Legends, where it's something to me that it's very, you know, it's very classic, it's iconic. It's something that in Nashville, Tennessee, growing up in school, I never thought this would happen to me. And when I used to come out here with my dad, we would stay at a hotel on Hollywood Boulevard, and my dad was very recognizable, and we would walk up and down the street at night when no one would actually, you know, kind of bother him the way that we experienced now. I could just have this really nice moment, just me and him with the magic of all the lights, something so different than walking, you know, Broadway in Nashville is amazing, but it's not quite Hollywood Boulevard. And to go into the little souvenir shops, you know, he would get me like the Best Daughter Oscar and the Marilyn Monroe t-shirts, which I mentioned to him the other day he still has from I was 8. So this t-shirt's definitely on its last legs. But to do something again it's a heart first memory for me. And again, so many of the stars, you know, the names that are on top of them are, I wouldn't be where I am without them. You know, the Garlands and the Monroes and these actresses that really did pave every step of the way for us right now. And the least I could do is try to kind of perpetuate what they were creating, which is, you know, it's where we are today. It's like this legacy of Hollywood. And I do think Hollywood is still filled with dreams and inspiration. It can be a really magical place. People just need to, you know, we need to care about our community and celebrate all the parts of it that are beautiful and not so beautiful. That's what makes Hollywood interesting.
We're going to jump outside in a second, but for people who get to watch your film, what do you, as you like to say, every song that you write is kind of about you. What do you hope they take away thinking about how you are right now?
You know, I hope that it sparks devotion and dedication to whatever it is that sets their heart on fire. That's what I've always wanted from the beginning, is that this is something that is so it's such a yes for me. It's so obvious. Everything tells me that it is. You know, it's so obvious. The head, the heart, the body, the people around me that I love and respect. Everything is pointing this compass into the direction of yes, it's right. And so whatever that is for them, which is probably something very different than what it looks like for me, but it's to follow those yeses and to, you know, take the time to actually create something of quality, because we live in a very fast-paced world right now. Everything, if you can't get it in 24 hours, you know, you'll find something else that you can. And I made this, you know, kind of, you know, the idea the other day, I was sitting with my mom, and we, again, dinners and lunches with my family are really important to me. And there's two tables in our living room, and wood, one of them is wood that my mom had created for us for this moment. She wanted us to be able to all come around this one piece of kind of, you know, something meaningful and for us to sit together. And then she had one that was plastic, and it's still cool, and from afar it looks nice, but you won't actually realize the difference of quality and something that's just made, you know, quickly in quantity until years from now. Because this piece of, you know, material, my mom's wood table, that's going to be there. That's something that you can pass down from generations. It's something that will be an heirloom of our family. And something that's plastic, it's nice and it's cool to look at and it works the same as the other one, but it's not going to last. It can't stand the test of time. The leg will end up breaking, and you won't mind because it was cheap, so it'll go away. And I think if we can remember that even though things are accessible to us at an extremely kind of unrealistically fast pace, we don't need to be keeping up with machinery. We're not machinery, we're people. And so to remember to devote yourself to quality, and I really believe that we'll be okay and stick around.